Skip, I watched them closely. I don't see a whole lot of sets. I see a whole lot of one-on-one, and then they try to break you down, and when you come to help, I kick the ball. This style of play works really, really well if guys are knocking down shots. Skip, we've seen this. We've seen it in Phoenix. We've seen it in Houston. But when they load up on you come playoff time, it's going to be very, very interesting. They're gonna need to get some bench. Their bench was awful last night. Joe Harris couldn't make any shots. But Skip, I mean, you got guys playing, KD playing 50 minutes, James Harden playing 50, Kyrie playing almost 49. And then you got Joe Harris off the bench playing 41. And then your other three guys play 11 and 10 and 7. Defense is going to be an issue for them. They're going to need to get this resolved, Skip. Because think about this. Before I turn it over to you, Andre Drummond didn't really post because he's really not the great post player. Jared Allen, he's really not a post, I'm talking about offensive player. They're post, they're bigs, but not offense, play with the back. Ooh, I get you. But I don't know if you noticed last night. Did you see that big guy in Philly? He's going to punish somebody. He's going to punish somebody.
I mean, the guy I keep telling you is the best big man in basketball by far, not even close, and you keep saying no, no, no.
Yo,
now you're on his bandwagon?
No, Skip. I did not. Hold on. How do you take me saying the guy in Philly is a load and they don't have anybody to deal with him? You saw what he did last night. This is the second time he's been over 40 with double-digit rebounds, 40 points, double-digit rebounds. I'm saying because they're so small, and they don't have a true post presence to defend someone like that, that could be a problem. That's what I'm saying. Defense is going to be a problem. Offensively, they're set. But defense, James Harden only got 2 shots in the first half. I don't know he happy about that. I don't know he happy about that. That ain't none of my business, though. Go ahead.
You finished?
Go ahead.
I got to get a new TV because I saw an upside-down game from what you saw.
Okay,
I have no idea what game you are talking about.
Okay.
I saw the new greatest show on earth. This is must-see TV. This is hashtag nothing but nets. I saw an offensive tour de force, and I saw a head coach in Steve Nash, never been a head coach before, who just said, you know what? Let's turn this into one long cardio scrimmage. I'm going to play my new big three in Kyrie's debut, a career-high Kevin Durant 50 minutes, a career high for James Harden 50, but really 51 minutes. And I'm going to play Kyrie Irving 48 minutes and 22 seconds after he has been out for 7 games and was worried about his cardio coming back. Right? That's how many minutes I'm going to play those guys, and I'm going to play them all 3 because they just need reps.
Right. And you wanted to win that game.
It was against a team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are, they're the worst statistical offensive team in basketball. What did they do last night from the three-point line? They made 20 out of 40. Why did they do that? Because they were inspired, because 2 of their newest players used to be Brooklyn Nets. Am I right? Did you see what Jared Allen did last night? He had 12 points and 11 rebounds off the bench. Did you see what Taurean Prince did for the Cavaliers last night? Inspired, 17 points and 7 rebounds off the bench.
Okay.
Did you see what Colin Sexton did? He went into the twilight zone of three-point shooting in ways I have rarely seen. This was Klay Thompson-esque what he did, especially in the second overtime. So to your final point, I will go at first. That is that James Harden, clearly, he is an offensive genius. He said, welcome back, Kyrie. I'm going to extend you an olive branch in the first half. I'm not going to shoot it. James didn't take his shot until there was like a minute left in the first half because he said, Kyrie, you do it. And guess what? They came out and made their first 10 shots. And Kyrie was out of his mind in the first half and made 8 out of 10 shots. That'll work. So you had James just saying, Kyrie, you do this because we need you to be more of the 2 than the 1. So I'll be the point guard. I'll initiate the offense, but you score the basketball, which he did at the highest level. So Kyrie didn't miss a beat. All that time off that he had, and everybody was all over him. He came right back, and he blended right in. And then in the second half, James said, you know what, maybe I should start shooting. And he began to shoot, and all he did was wind up with a triple-double. James Harden is leading the league in assists, and he had 12 more last night. Is that good?
Yeah.
I'd say that's pretty good. He scored 21 without even shooting in the first half. Is that good?
Yeah.
That is sensationally good.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go to the end of regulation, shall we?
Yeah, we should.
Because Kyrie Irving, listen, they are on a tear. They are charging to the finish line because they got sick and tired of Cleveland playing way over its head, making three-point shots, and they said, watch this. They close the fourth quarter on a 28-15 run at Cleveland. Is that good? That is great. It was firepower. It was greatest show on earth, tour de force. And it comes down to Kyrie got the basketball at the end, and he drives it up the floor on one Colin Sexton. If we could see this play, please. And I immediately tweeted, here's the ball. They force a turnover. And here comes Kyrie. James just said, you do it. You're the last shot taker. And he drives right past Colin Sexton. And the referee calls an offensive foul. And I immediately tweeted, you can check my timeline. I said, that is completely wrong. Colin Sexton leans into him, hacks him across the leg. And somehow, because Kyrie's elbow hit Colin Sexton in the jaw because he leaned right in front of it, Kyrie didn't extend his elbow. They called an offensive foul and screwed Kyrie out of going to the free throw line with 2 attempts to make one to win the game.
He had lost the ball anyway.
No, well, but it's a foul. He slapped him across the front of his body and across his leg. And guess what they did? They go review it, and they say, whoops, we screwed up. We reversed the call. Well, guess what? When you reverse a call at the end of the game like that, guess what the result is? Jump ball. Yeah. You're still punished. You're still penalized. You should be at the free. If you're going to reverse the call, give Kyrie the free throws to win the game.
No,
and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. It's a stupid rule. You know it, and I know it.
It's the rules, Skip.
Okay, and they got screwed.
Okay, what about the Skip? What about the fact what if they didn't have the challenge system in?
Okay, but I'm just saying it was a blown call. It was wrong, and I tweeted it, and I was right about it. Okay, so then we go to the end of the first overtime, and they're up 3. They played a great first overtime. Jumped
out on them.
Yeah,
and Cleveland walked them down.
Well, they walked them down because Cleveland was shooting out of its mind when I'm looking up at Larry Nance making 3-point shots.
You making my point, Skip?
Look at this first overtime. It's tour de force's scoring. So they should have won it. But what does Steve Nash do as a first-time head coach down the stretch of this game, last few seconds? Colin Sexton had the ball. You just foul because you can foul him and with literally no time left on the clock. Just foul him. Just go ahead and foul him before he goes into shooting mode. If you foul him and Kyrie's on him and Kyrie defended it very well, Colin Sexton just made a ridiculous shot to tie the game and send it to the second overtime. Well, he literally wore out Kyrie in the second overtime because Kyrie's playing 48 minutes and he hasn't played in 7 games. And I'm saying, Steve, look, if you know, do you know Bruce Brown? I keep raving about him. He is their designated defender. He is 6 feet 4 inches tall out of the University of Miami. And again, he should have been on Colin Sexton for portions of each of the overtime. Let Kyrie have a break. But Steve Nash is just trying to get the big 3 in rhythm in a close game just so they can figure each other out. But Kyrie's legs had to be dead. He hasn't played in what's it been, going on 3 weeks?
But you're making my point. You keep telling me, you do realize that the Cleveland Cavaliers got up 109 shots. They made 56 of them. That's 51.4%. They got up 43s. They made 20. That's 50%. You're making my point about the defensive end, Skip.
Right, but
you keep talking about offense. You won't mention
the game. They locked them up and locked them down the stretch of the fourth quarter. I just showed you 28-15, and they got screwed on the last call, or the game's over.
Skip.
I'm sorry, it's over.
They scored.
It should have been over. They should have won it easily at the end of regulation by saying that's enough.
Skip.
You can't ask those. What have you been telling me about James Harden? He's fat. Well, how did he play 50 minutes last night? He must have lost 15 pounds last night.
Skip, you keep telling me that they locked them up, but they had 62 points in the second half. They scored 4. After you jumped that to a 6-7 point lead in the first overtime, they walked you down. And then they scored 20 in the second overtime. You keep talking about offense. You keep talking about 38, and this one had 39, and this one had a triple-double. The other team scored 147 points.
Guess what they scored in the fourth quarter? It's 26. Guess what they scored in the second half of the fourth quarter? 15.
Oh, look.
Okay?
20.
So my point to you is they locked them up in the fourth quarter. They said, that's enough of you. They were no good in the fourth quarter. They were average in the fourth quarter. They were the Cavaliers in the fourth quarter, and 35 from Brooklyn should have won it if they get the call at the end of the game. It shouldn't have gone to overtime.
Let me ask you a question, Skip. Okay, well, how many points did you score in the first quarter? Since you was 26 and so bad in the fourth, you scored 23. And guess what you scored in the second quarter?
Guess what 26. They did? They made their first 10 shots of the game.
You guys did.
Of the game.
Your guys did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you still only had 49 points at the half. And you made your first 10 shots and you only had 49. And guess what? The Cavaliers was in front of you at halftime. Because why? All you keep talking about, they look great offensively. I told you the problem that I see them having is defensively. You can't allow the worst offensive basketball team to go get 147.
Kevin Durant last night had 4 blocks. 4 blocks. He can defend at the highest level. And by the way, you never mentioned DeAndre Jordan. He's going to play a lot of minutes, but I know
he can't play a lot of minutes. The man had 20, man played 24 minutes.
Okay, he made 6 out of 7 shots. He can still rim protect, but I know what Steve Nash was thinking. Joe Harris is really good. He's the former, obviously, three-point shooting champion, and he's had a tremendous year. So he said, you know what? I'll go smaller against them because I got to give Joe some run for his ego purposes. Just to reward him for all that he's done so far this year. So he played in 41 minutes, and Joe Harris was cold. He shot 2 of 10 from the floor and